I'm 101 years old, born in 1923. I've been around the sun more times than I care to count, and every time someone sits in that chair where you're sitting, they ask the same thing. Artie, what's the secret? Is it the diet? Is it the exercise? Is it clean living? They look at me like I'm a science experiment. They want me to tell them that if they eat blueberries every morning and do yoga, they'll live forever. Well, let me save you some time. It's not the blueberries, and it sure as hell isn't clean living. I smoked Lucky Strikes for 40 years. I drank whiskey when I was happy, and more whiskey when I was sad. I worked in a steel mill, breathing in soot thick enough to paint your lungs black, years before the government even knew how to spell safety. I eat bacon. I like my steak rare. So if you're looking for health advice, go ask a doctor. But if you're asking me how I'm still here, and I mean really here, not just breathing but living, then you need to pull that chair closer. Because the secret isn't about preserving the body. It's about not letting the world rot your soul. See, people today, you guys are obsessed with longevity. You want to add years to your life. I understand that, but I'm telling you, adding years is the easy part. Modern medicine keeps you breathing. The hard part, the part nobody teaches you in school, is adding life to your years. I'm going to tell you the truth. The secret is that you have to fight for your joy every single day. It's a fist fight. You wake up and the world wants to make you heavy. The news, the bills, the aches in your knees, the regrets in your head, they all want to pull you down into the mattress. The secret is you don't wait for a good day. You make a good day. You grab the day by the collar and you say, I'm going to find something beautiful in you if it kills me. Most people don't do that. They wait. They wait for the weekend. They wait for the promotion. They wait for the kids to grow up. They wait for retirement. They wait for the pain to stop. And let me tell you, friend, the waiting room is where you die. I didn't wait. You look at me and you see a nice old man in a flannel shirt. You think I'm cute. That's okay. But you don't know what I'm made of. I was 6 years old when the stock market crashed in '29. You think inflation is bad now? Let me tell you about the Great Depression. I watched my father, a proud man, a man who built houses, stand in a bread line for 6 hours just to bring home a loaf that was hard as a rock. I saw him shrink. Shame is a terrible thing for a man. It eats him from the inside. I didn't have a childhood. I had a job. By 10, I was scavenging scrap metal. By 12, I was working jobs that would break a grown man today. We didn't have shoes that fit. We stuffed newspaper in our soles to cover the holes. Then came the war, the big one, 1941. I was 18. I'd never been more than 10 miles from my front porch, and suddenly I'm on a boat to the Pacific. I'm not going to tell you about the noise or the smell or the boys who didn't come back, but I will tell you this. When I came home in '45, I felt old. I was 22, but I felt 80. I'd seen what humans could do to each other. I had seen the world burn. I came back to Ohio, got a job at the steel plant. Hard work, honest work. The heat from those blast furnaces could melt the buttons off your shirt. But I was alive, and I wanted the dream. I wanted the white picket fence. I wanted the peace. And I got it. Her name was Elizabeth Beth. She was the librarian at the high school. She had these glasses that she was always pushing up her nose. And when she laughed, she snorted a little bit. God, I loved that sound. We got married in '48. We bought a little house on Elm Street. Those years, 1948 to 1957, those were the golden years. I thought I had made it. I survived the Depression. I survived the war. I thought life owed me a happy ending. That's the first mistake. Life doesn't owe you a damn thing. November 14th, 1957. A Tuesday. Just a regular Tuesday. Cold, gray November drizzle. Beth went out to get groceries and pick up a prescription for our son's cough. A drunk driver in a pickup truck. He blew a stop sign. They said she didn't feel any pain. They always say that. I don't know if it's true or if they just say it to keep you from going crazy. I was 34 years old. I was a widower with 3 children under the age of 9. The silence in the house. That was the worst part. You don't realize how much noise a person makes until they're gone. The sound of her humming in the kitchen, the sound of her turning pages, gone. I fell into a hole, a deep, black hole. I went to work. I came home. I drank. I drank to sleep. I drank to forget. I was angry. I was so angry at God. I screamed at the ceiling until my voice gave out. Why me? I fought your war. I worked hard. Why her? I was turning into stone. I was cold. My kids, they were scared of me. I was a ghost in my own house. This brings me to the first real lesson. Pain is inevitable, but misery is a choice. It took me 6 months of hell to figure that out. One evening, I was sitting in the dark nursing a bottle of bourbon. My youngest, Mikey, walked in. He was wearing his pajamas, holding a little stuffed bear. He stood there for a long time. Finally, he whispered, "Daddy, are you going to leave us too?" It felt like someone shot me in the chest. I looked at this little boy. He had already lost his mother, and now he was watching his father slowly die in a chair. He thought it was his fault. That was the moment, the turning point. I put the bottle down. I poured it down the sink. I picked Mikey up and I cried for the first time in months. Healing tears. I realized something that night. I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. Elizabeth didn't marry a quitter. If I loved her, I had to honor her by living. I made a deal with myself. I said, "Artie, you can be sad, but you cannot be cold. You have to bring the warmth back into this house." I started choosing. I got up, I made pancakes. I burned them, but I made them. I put on a record. I forced a smile for my kids, and after a while the smiles stopped being forced. I learned that you can't control the tragedy, but you have absolute control over what the tragedy makes of you. You can let it turn you into a victim, or you can let it turn you into a survivor. I chose to survive. Time moves on. It always does. The kids grew up. I kept working at the mill. I was Artie the steel man. Then came the 80s. The Rust Belt started rusting. I was 60 years old when they shut the plant down. I was forced into early retirement. A man's worth back then was his work. Without my badge, who was I? I sat on this porch for weeks, feeling like scrap metal. But then I remembered the lesson from 1957. I am not what happens to me. I am not my job. I am not my bank account. I started woodworking. I grew tomatoes. I read history books. I realized that for 40 years, I had been busy making a living, but I hadn't been making a life. Losing that job was a gift. It forced me to look at the trees instead of the furnace. Then when I was 74, I met Rose. Rose was a firecracker. She drove a red convertible and wore big purple hats. People in town started whispering, "A respectable widower dating a wild woman like that?" My own daughter asked, "Dad, what are you doing? She's not like Mom." I told her, "I know she's not like Mom. Nobody is, but I've paid my dues to grief. If the neighbors want to whisper, let them whisper. I'm going dancing." And we did. I married Rose when I was 75. We bought an RV. We drove to the Grand Canyon. We ate beignets at 2 a.m. in New Orleans. I did more living in my 70s and 80s than I did in my 20s. Rose taught me that you're never too old to be a fool for love. She taught me that caring about what other people think is a prison. We had 21 years together before cancer took her. People said, "Oh, it's so sad. He lost another one." No, it wasn't sad. It was a miracle. I got 2 great loves in one lifetime. Most people don't even get one. I'm the luckiest son of a gun on earth. Now I'm alone again. Rose has been gone for 5 years. My body is slow. I can't drive the RV anymore. But I am happy, truly happy. Because here is the final secret. Happiness isn't a destination. It's a manner of traveling. You young folks, you treat happiness like it's a trophy at the finish line. I'll be happy when I get the raise. I'll be happy when I get married. Wrong. If you can't be happy making coffee in your kitchen, you won't be happy on a yacht in the Mediterranean. You'll just be a miserable person with a better view. My joy today comes from the micro joys. The way the sun hits the dust motes in the afternoon, the taste of a cold peach, the sound of rain on a tin roof, the fact that my dog, Buster, puts his head on my foot because he trusts me. These aren't small things. These are everything. These are the molecules of life. Every night I do an inventory. I force myself to name 3 things that were good about today. Maybe it was a good sandwich. Maybe my back didn't hurt. Gratitude is a muscle. If you don't flex it, it atrophies. So, here is my challenge to you. Stop waiting. Stop waiting for permission to be happy. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions. Conditions will never be perfect. The economy will always be scary. There will always be war. There will always be heartbreak. Life is not safe. It's a dangerous, messy, beautiful business. I'm 101. I'm in the overtime of the overtime. I know my time is short, and because I know it's short, every minute tastes sweet. You think you have forever. That's your problem. You think you have time to hold grudges. You think you have time to worry about your ego. You think you have time to be miserable at a job you hate. You don't. Wake up. Look at the person next to you. Really look at them. Eat the food. Taste it. Feel the wind. I've lost everything a man can lose. But if you gave me the chance to do it all again, to take the pain and the loss, just to have the love and the laughter, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Life, even when it breaks your heart, is a gift. It's a miracle that we are here at all. So, do me a favor. When you turn off that camera, don't just scroll to the next thing. Go outside, look at the sky, and say thank you. Then go make yourself a good cup of coffee. That's it. That's the secret. Now get off my porch. I've got a nap to take.